Hello and welcome to another episode in the series, The Legends of Land Rights. Today we've travelled to Erambie Mission, better known as 32 Acres, to interview the very famous Aunty Agie Coe. Aunty Aggie has been a tireless worker for Aboriginal people, not just in the field of land rights, but in the field of childcare, health, legal service, and of course, her own children. She stayed at home until her children had all finished school and then hit the road with a vengeance. She brought a lot of economic development into Cowra, indeed into the Wiradjuri region, and is an inspiration to all the young people right throughout New South Wales. It's been a pleasure to see and talk to Aunty Agie Coe. Aunty Agie Coe, welcome to the Legends for Land Rights series. You were one of a number of Aboriginal women, particularly from the Wiradjuri area, in particular, in your case, Cowra, that supported Aboriginal land rights, supported the establishment of Aboriginal legal services, children's services, medical services, and yet you stayed on. You stayed on until the last of your kids were out of school, and then took a very, very active part, seeing the growth of the Wiradjuri Regional Aboriginal Land Council establishment, and really put your foot down and took the movement by your throat?
Pretty hard really, because it was hard to get someone to listen to what you were trying to say to people. And I don't think, when I think about it now, the older Koreans didn't seem to think that we had any hope of getting any land. I don't know what it was.
But you had to explain to people about Wiradjuri, just the word Wiradjuri, that you had a nation down here. And
yeah, but then when we got going and started getting a few listen to us, we had no trouble getting them to listen to what you were saying and want to take part in it.
You were one of a number of women, and you've seen the demonstrations taking place in Sydney, the marches down George Street for the Gurindji people, the embassy established. But still you stayed on and you encouraged your kids, but you put your last two kids through school, and then you hit with a bang. There wasn't in those days many women that sort of come to the forefront, but I think there's a lot of, if it wasn't for a lot of women, particularly in Sydney, that stayed back and
They just sort of stood back and reckoned we were mad. That's the word they used, mad.
But they kept the doors open of our organisation, and you kept the issues going here on Erambie, and then you started getting this regional assembly, the regional organisation together, and encouraged other women.
Well, it got a lot of other women in, how can I put it, probably interested in things. And I think they thought, first of all, I think they thought we were meant, oh, you're mad, you're silly, you're mad, And I heard Paul saying they're not mad. They listen to what people are telling them.
But then you didn't stay still here. You not only moved around your region, but you moved around a lot of New South Wales, particularly back and forward to Sydney.
Yeah, and we did it at our own time and our own expense and things like that.
Meetings in Narandra, Wagga.
Yeah, Darlington Point.
Darlington Point, Wagga.
Yeah. You mentioned people like Huey and Wyman. We've just interviewed them. They must make you feel so proud.
It does, really. And sometimes most people, when they come to talk to you, and if you think they're really interested, you sit down and talk to them.
But you had very strong opposition to housing being roped in, if you like, with the land councils. Did that make you feel mad?
Well, at that time I didn't even realise what they were saying, how people were too strongly involved in politically, and the reason why and wanted to know why we were doing it. And I got a bit embarrassed one day and said, oh, I don't know. shut them up.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I could say. To me, land rights, I haven't really thought a lot about it, to what it means to me, but I know that it's important. To what extent, I don't know. And I think to myself, well, it's something that we've got to get the young ones involved in.
And how did you see the young ones being involved?
Some of them, you see, a lot of them have got a lot of knowledge about what's going on and learnt what's going on. A lot of them take notice, and some of them couldn't care less until they see things happening, you know. Pretty hard to explain. See, a lot of this stuff happened, I'll go away, fly over at Yass. And I grew up at Yass on one of the, out on where the property was that they had leased. And I think a lot of it come from there because they all took notice. Some of the ones that lived in here reckon we were Gwangi and you this and you that and you.
But then you came to show them you weren't, through childcare.
The children's service wouldn't have even gotten going if it wasn't for us, some
That's
of
right.
us. You know.
You bought a big property there in Wagga Wagga to set up the regional
Yeah.
the regional office.
Yeah. Yeah, someone needs to sit down and put it all together. And I'd prefer if someone else did it and not us, because some of them were saying, oh, you were only doing it to show people what you did, you know, and it wasn't just me, there was a group of us.
It was a group. It was a group,
Yeah.
and it was a very tight-knit group, but it was a very representative group as well, wasn't
Yeah.
it? From right around all the Wiradjuri country.
Yeah, it went around, didn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, a lot of them sort of sat there and did nothing and let it wait to see what happened, and we kept going.
What are your thoughts today on how different it is now to what it was back then?
I don't know, I don't even know what I think they should be doing. You know, I prefer someone else made a decision, something, say, about 30-year celebration or something, because I think if I did it, they'd be saying, oh, they're only, look at the ants biting you on the legs there, look.
Yeah, that's right.
I think they'd be saying, oh, you're just big noting yourself, you know.
But in actual fact, we know that's not true. I mean, you were one of the, you know, you were the ones that you were the one that introduced Wiradjuri and say, well, that's
Yeah.
the name, and there wasn't.
And I suppose I can say here and now, I was probably one of the one that kept pushing and going. And I can remember how we all went back over to Yass to talk to some of the people over there. And I don't think they really believed in what we were doing and saying, but they found out we had a reason to say things about what needed to be done and what our people needed to do.
What are your thoughts today on how different it is now to what it was back then?
None of that would have happened if we wouldn't have started at that low
At the local level.
local level.
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah. And I think the Wiradjuri sort of showed the way throughout the rest of New South Wales to do it at the local level. And
Well, we did, and I think the rest of us thought we were just going to cause trouble.
Yeah.
I'm sure they thought we were just going to be troublemakers.
And a message for the young kids of today?
With the young children today, they need to take notice what the older people tell them and listen to what it means to people. And they should take part in what they can do.
Aunty Agie Coe, thanks for your time. It's been a real pleasure.